Hi, everyone. I'm Jarrod Rudd, and I work at Elon University. Today, we'll be reading The Pumpkin Book by Gail Gibbons, with permission, of course, from Holiday House. And I love a good pumpkin spice latte, and I love pumpkins. So let's jump into the pumpkin book and see what they're all about. The Pumpkin Book by Gail Gibbons. Pumpkins come in all shapes and sizes. Pumpkins are members of the squash family. There are many different kinds of pumpkins: small pumpkins, big pumpkins, round pumpkins, tall pumpkins. Gardeners and farmers call them pumpkin varieties. Some pumpkins have a smooth skin and others have lots of bumps. So we have Dill's Atlantic Giant, we have Jack B. Little, a Red October, a Big Max pumpkin, and a little trick or treat pumpkin as well. You see all the different types and desires of pumpkins? In the springtime, when the sun's rays begin to warm the soil, it is planting time. Some gardeners turn the soil to get it ready to plant a small pumpkin patch. A pumpkin patch is where pumpkins are grown. So you see they turn the soil with rakes and shovels. Some farmers use their plows to slice through and turn over the dirt. The field will eventually be a huge pumpkin patch. Have you ever ridden a plow to help turn dirt or just have fun on a plow? The soil is ready. It is time to plant the pumpkin seeds. The beginning of a pumpkin seed is curled up inside each pumpkin seed. Food is stored there too. The seed has a seed coat on the outside to protect it. The bigger the seed, the bigger the variety of pumpkin that will grow. So we have our pumpkin seed here, the beginning of the pumpkins here, there's the food, and then we have our seed coat as well. Now, sometimes pumpkin seeds are planted in rows. Other times, they're planted in small circular areas called hills. Several shallow holes are poked into the hill, and one pumpkin seed is dropped into each hole and covered with dirt. Each hill should be about 3 feet or 1 meter to 6 feet, 2 meters apart to give the plants lots of room to grow. See how they're planting the seeds in different areas of the hill and in different parts? A pumpkin seed won't sprout until the dirt is warm and water has soaked the seed to soften its coat. Once the seed coat breaks open, a root begins to grow down into the soil. It takes in water and minerals from the soil for food. So we have our seed, and then the root grows down into the soil for the water to get into it. After about 1 week, 2 leaves appear where each pumpkin seed was planted. These smooth leaves are called seed leaves. They begin to make more food for the plant from the sunlight and the air. So there's 2 leaves from our seed leaves. After a few days, small pumpkin vine leaves appear. These leaves look different. They are prickly and have rough, jagged edges. More new vine leaves grow. Stems begin to grow and twist, crawling along the ground as they become vines. So our leaves are going to turn into vines soon. The vines grow thicker and thicker. They grow curly tendrils that wrap themselves around other parts of the plant to help spread the vines. Gold-colored flowers begin to bloom. Do you see the gold colored flowers in there? There are gold colored flowers that help bloom from our pumpkin seeds. A pumpkin begins to grow when a grain of pollen from the stamen of a male pumpkin flower lands on the stigma of a female pumpkin flower. This is called pollination. Sometimes pollen moves from flower to flower when the wind blows. Bees and other insects help pollinate too. Pollen rubs on and off their bodies as they travel from flower to flower in search of nectar. Have you ever seen a bee pollinate a flower? It's kind of cool. The female flower has a small green ball beneath its blossom. When the flower is pollinated, the little ball begins to grow. It is a very, very small pumpkin. Over time, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. The pumpkin skin begins to turn from green to orange. All of the pumpkins in the pumpkin patch begin to turn orange. So you see how a small pumpkin turns bigger and bigger as they start to grow, just like you. In the fall, when the vines begin to dry up and die, it is harvest time. It usually takes from 80 to 120 days, depending on the variety, for a seed to grow into a ripened pumpkin. It is ready to be picked if it feels hard on the outside and sounds hollow when it's tapped. So remember, when you go pumpkin patching and you go pumpkin picking, make sure it's hard on the outside and sounds hollow when it's tapped to know you're getting a great pumpkin. Often, shears are used to clip the pumpkins from their vines, leaving about 3 inches or 7.5 centimeters of stem. The stem helps to keep the harvested pumpkin from getting moldy. Do you see how they're using their shields to clip the top of the pumpkins? That's why they look like that when you get them. During the fall, more and more pumpkins of many shapes and sizes appear at roadside stands and in stores. Where do you like to buy your pumpkins? Have you ever gone to a roadside stand, or do you like to get them from the store yourself or from your parents? Fall makes people think of the county fairs. Sometimes awards are given for the biggest, the prettiest, or the strangest pumpkins grown. The biggest pumpkin ever grown was in New York State in 1996. It weighed about as much as a small car, 1,061 pounds. Whoa! At fairs, there are pumpkin pie tasting contests too. Would you eat that pumpkin in a pumpkin pie contest? When the Pilgrims came to the New World, friendly Native American Indians showed them how to plant pumpkins. Often, the Indian women were the pumpkin farmers of their tribes. The Pilgrims ate pumpkins every day in different forms, such as pumpkin bread, pumpkin pie, and pumpkin seed cereal. Which one's your favorite? I love pumpkin bread. What about you? Thanksgiving reminds people of the Pilgrims' first harvest season. They wanted to give thanks for the food they would have through the cold winter months. They celebrated by having a Thanksgiving feast. What does your Thanksgiving feast look like? Halloween is on October 31st. A long time ago, people believed that ghosts, witches, and goblins roamed around that night. Some people built bonfires to scare them away. Later, October 31st was called All Hallows Even, which means Holy Evening. It was the night before a church festival called All Hallows or All Saints Day. All Hallows Eve was shortened to Halloween. Today, Halloween is celebrated in different ways. There are pumpkins. It's great fun to carve pumpkins into what you want them to be. Funny pumpkins, scary pumpkins, beautifully carved pumpkins. What kind of pumpkins do you like to carve, and how do you like to carve them? So you see, always with an adult, there's different ways to cut faces in your pumpkins and do different shapes. So make sure you talk to an adult and carve your pumpkin right. Also, some people place a candle or light inside and light it so the pumpkin will shine in all its glory on Halloween night. So once again, always have an adult place and light the candle in your pumpkin. Other people decorate pumpkins with paint, glitter, and other decorations. These pumpkins can last a long time because they haven't been carved. No two pumpkins are alike. They all have their very own personalities. So would you rather carve your pumpkin or paint it with glitter and fun paints? All lined up on Halloween night, they are a glowing sight to behold. Isn't it amazing that all this began with a few small pumpkin seeds? Glow, pumpkins, glow. And that, my friends, is the end of our pumpkin story. So that was The Pumpkin Book by Gail Gibbons.